Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make interesting drums for your future bass songs. So let's just get right into it. Alright, so I already made a little chords and melody and bass line just so that we have something to actually like listen to our drums with. Usually helps. For me, I like to do melodies first, so I just got all that done beforehand. This is what the melodies and stuff sound like. Okay, so usually when I do my drums, I like to start with a kick. So let's do that this time. I have a lot of kicks here. Let me just find one real quick. Okay, so I got my kick. I'm using a Simon Cervita kick. And now I'm just gonna go through and lay it out where I hear it, like hear a kick hitting. So I'll just listen to the song and start laying down kicks. All right, so now I got all my kicks. If you haven't noticed, there's this thing that I like to do with almost all of my songs where I lay at least one kick on top of a clap. I just really like that rhythm, and so I use it a lot. But yeah, alright, so now is claps and snares. So I'm gonna find a clap and a snare that I like. Okay, so now I got a clap and a snare that I like. They sound like, the clap sounds like this, and the snare sounds like this. And then together they sound like, and I'll go through and mix all this stuff afterwards so that it sounds a little bit louder, a little bit better, but right now we're just focusing on the pattern. So yeah, so basically to start with, you want to lay all your claps and snares where they normally go, and like that, and then I'm gonna listen through and see if maybe I want to sneak like a clap or a snare. So I'll usually go through with a different snare. I'll do that later and add variation, but for now I might add just to the clap one a little bit of variation. Okay, so I added an extra clap after each actual clap, every other one, so I liked how that sounded, so here's what that sounds like. And that's completely optional. Like usually you don't do that in every song, you don't have to, but if you want to, that's a good place to put it, or you can put it beforehand right here, which sounds like this. That's one that's fun. You can also put one right here if you would like. That's normally a good spot too. That sounds like this. So that's gonna do it for like the normal kicks and snares for now. Now I want to move into other random percussion before I get into hi-hats and stuff. So for me, I like to use loops on top of everything else, and I'll usually make it a little bit quieter, but it just adds a little bit extra like percussive elements. Okay, so I'll usually add a like a loop that's like this. Maybe this is a cymatics one. Or something like this. And that's in addition to the like the hi-hats and stuff. That just adds a little bit of extra like in the background. Usually you want to put that wide. It'll just make it sound more interesting, basically. I think I'm gonna stick with this one. Let's hear it. Yeah, so you can hear this is without it. This is with it. Just adds a little bit of extra character. Okay, now I want to do rides. And rides are important just because they help like carry the groove of the song a little bit more. Okay, so I got this right here. Sounds like this. Turn it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm liking how this sounds with every ride on the beat. Sounds like this. It's barely noticeable, but you can hear a difference definitely with and without. So now I'm gonna add, like I said, a second ride to where each kick hits. Alright, so I added that ride. And as you can hear, it's, again, barely noticeable, but later when I'm mixing, it'll help the kick sound better. So now we're gonna move into hats. And what I like to do is, actually, hats are the one thing that I don't put straight into the playlist. I like to go into here, and this is because I started out making beats, and so this is how I always did it, and I just like to stick to that. Okay, so I got my hats, and I went here and went to fill each 2 steps, and that just makes this little rhythm right here. And then what I like to do is I like to come into the piano roll of here, and I hit Control L to lengthen all of these, and I'll just stretch this last one out. And then what you can do here is you can just go through and add little chops and stuff to each thing, or chops and stuff to each little hi-hat, just to give it some more rhythm. So I'm using Alt-U to make slices, and then I like triplets as well. And you do that just by changing the like the grid snap to 3rd beats, and then you can just do that. Okay, so I using those tools that I taught you, I just went through and sliced different hi-hats and made a little pattern. It sounds like this. And I just pitched these ones down by just dragging them. And then with the whole song, these aren't going to be very audible yet, but just to give you an idea, this is what it sounds like. And just with just the drums, it sounds like this. Okay, so patterns wise, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go through and mix it, and I'll just stop and update you on important things when I get to them. Okay, so the first important thing that I want to tell you guys is panning. The other stuff that I've been doing is just leveling, EQing. I went more in depth on that on my last video, so if you're still a little confused on that kind of stuff, you can go check out my last video. But for these percussive elements, I want to show you panning. So I have this free plugin called Pancake, and it's just like an automated panning. You can draw your own shapes in here. I might just use this one, but it'll pan your element from ear to ear. So it's important to utilize panning, because otherwise everything's just going to sound like it's in one spot, and it'll be really hard to tell your different percussion apart. Okay, the last important thing I want to tell you guys about is stereo imaging. So I'm just going to use another free plugin called Ozone Imager, and basically this just allows you to make your sound wider. And I just want to do this on my ride, just to separate it a little bit from the kick, because the kick is going to be mostly in the middle, so the ride will sound better on the sides. Alright, so I finished doing my mixing of my drums, and here's what they sound like. This is by no means a finished mix. It's just a quick one. I'm trying to upload as often as I can, which means I can't spend hours mixing. But yeah, this is basically it as far as patterns for future bass go. It's all about creativity. The kicks and snares type stuff usually relatively stays the same, but other than that, future bass is mostly about being creative with your sounds. So the more random and weird percussive sounds that you have, the cooler it's going to sound. It's going to sound cooler, it's going to sound more unique, it's going to be more interesting. So, yeah. that pretty much wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.